So, okay, I'm just going to ask the question that everybody's afraid to ask. And if it's been asked, because I go to live streams and whatnot, then I haven't heard the answer. But really what's bothering me in the Abraham community, it's kind of nobody's talking about it. If my understanding is correct, then according to you guys, Jerry died the wrong way. He died through resistance.
Well, it's not possible to die the wrong way. We had a conversation about that was really satisfying here today. But Jerry's vortex was calling him. The resistance was about the physical calling too. That's what we were explaining. In other words, if Jerry had not been integrated with Esther, well, first of all, it's an unnecessary conversation to have, but if Jerry had not been integrated with Esther, his transition would have been much easier and would have been long ago. Jerry had asked his questions that he presented to us in private conversation was all about wanting to understand what the non-physical is, wanting to know what that next logical step was, wanting to be advantaged as much advantage as he could. Always his desire is to uplift. And his opportunity to uplift now is greater from non-physical. Esther knows it and feels it all day, every day. But Esther's desire to hold him here physically, in other words, neither one of them consciously were willing to let go of all of the physical interaction that they had. So that was the resistance. If there's anything that Esther walked away from all of that feeling strongly, it was what we talked about briefly here, which is about not wanting to cling so much to life that you make the true involvement with what really is life more difficult to accomplish. The whole death thing is so dramatically misunderstood. Every day that Jerry and Esther were together, one of them said to the other, and then the other compounded it by saying it back, "We are so good together," you see. And Esther was not factoring in the togetherness that is still possible. Now that she knows what she knows, she would not have been a clinger. She would not have been someone who would have made it necessary for the resistance. But you got to understand, Esther has this work that she wants to do, and it's work that Jerry and Esther wanted to do together. She had this work that she wants to do that if Jerry had sat in his chair and been gone the next day, it is unlikely that Esther would have ever stood on this stage again. In other words, the devastation of the abruptness of that would have been unthinkable to Esther. But because of the way it happened, where months that he was cheering her on from home as he was watching the live stream exists because of her wanting Jerry to participate in these from a distance, you see.
Right.
And so as the gentle, comfortable, he had an experience that was pain-free, that was slow and gradual enough to provide for Esther the stability that she needed for a comfortable transition into this work with him approaching it from another perspective, you see.
Yeah.
We are pleased that you've asked the question. And you see, the reason that the question is such a hard, that's the first thing that Esther thought of. Why in the world would something like this happen to us? Right. And now her response is, why in the world would something like this happen to us? In other words, to understand that we are eternal, to understand that there is no death, to be able to take the subject that is the greatest subject of greatest resistance that most people are worried about more than all other things put together, and to be able to put it into a context where she can wholly explain that not only does she know that there is no death, but that there is nothing about it that is unwanted, you see. And so as Esther is editing, she is mindful of what was, doing a little thinking about what was in relationship with what is. And she will be working on the editing of something or of the choosing of the track titles, of the doing, the specific doing of the things that Jerry was doing. And she will feel her foot twitching in the way that his foot always twitched, or her finger fiddling in the way that his finger always fiddled, and then the clarity of what he was doing flowing through her mind. And she will think, When we were together, you were in that end of the bus, I was in that end of the bus, or you were in that room and I was in that room, or you were on that porch and I was on that porch, or we were together and we were rendezvousing on occasion all through the day because they spent all of their time in near proximity with one another. But never have I experienced the deliciousness of you knowing exactly what I'm doing while I edit. He never sat and watched her edit a recording. He never knew what that process was. He was never integrated with her thought by thought, mind by mind. In other words, the togetherness that the two of them were talking about is more profound and more satisfying today than it has ever been. And it was hard for Esther to accept at first. But once she stopped looking for Jerry where he wasn't and started looking for him where he is, which is in every step she takes, which is in every thought she thinks, which is in every bite she eats, which is in every physical experience that she experiences, now she can feel the true integration of what a true soulmate is, you see. And now there is no lack that is being experienced by her. So if there is anything that Jerry wanted the world to understand, it is that it's okay. No matter what, it's okay. People are taking death experiences. We had a conversation about that early today, and wanting to compare the rightness or the wrongness and the rightness or the wrongness and the rightness or the wrongness. And we say, there is no wrongness, there's only rightness, you see. And Esther didn't like hearing this from us at the moment in time that she heard it, but she understands it fully now. As she said, Abraham, I can see what's happening, and I want you to know that I like it not one bit. And we said to her, we know, but you don't get to vote on this. In other words, this is between Jerry and his source. This is between Jerry and his purpose for being. This is between Jerry. And you have an option, Esther. You can experience it in joy, or you can experience it in pain. She chose joy.